Okay. Right now?
I'll call the meeting to order of the mayor and board of all the persons in the city of Bastrop. We ask you to stand at this time, and I'm going to ask Mr. Eddie Gordon to lead us in an invocation, and Mr. Arthur Hamlin to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance following that.
Bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and this opportunity to gather together. Pray that you would give us the knowledge and the wisdom to make wise decisions for the city of Bastrop. Pray that you would continue to bless our city, bless our mayor, our board, and the employees, the fire, police, public works. Pray that you would keep your hand upon them and guide them and lead them. In Jesus' name we ask these things. Amen.
Amen.
You turn your face back, please. Salute. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Before we start, I need one more thing to take care of. Will the clerk call the roll so we can determine the quorum, please?
Ms. Robinson?
Here.
Ms. Olive?
Here.
Mr. Gordon?
Present.
Mr. Lenore?
here.
Mr. Hamlin?
Here.
All present, Mayor.
All present, and let the record show that the quorum is present tonight. We thank all of you for coming to this meeting of the mayor and board of all the persons of the city of Bastrop, Louisiana. Thank you for your presence here, and we appreciate it. I think we have the bugs kind of worked out in our telecast. We appreciate Sudden Link for them giving us the capacity through their technical services to be able to do a live telecast of our council meetings. It's all a part of our effort to keep our citizenry informed as to what goes on and how we conduct the business as it relates to them, so we really appreciate it. I've added a couple of other items on our agenda just to help make things go smoothly. We've added a line for announcements, and during this time we will use this for members of the board and staff to make announcements that are relevant to our citizenry and to us as well. We all are aware that early voting, we hope that everybody knows that early voting is going on right now. And it started on the 6th, which was last Saturday, and it will go through the 13th. And people don't have to lie anymore. They can go and vote early without saying that they were sick and going to be out of town and all the rest of that. I went and voted early on Tuesday or Wednesday, one day, and people are really taking advantage of that opportunity. But we definitely encourage people to go and vote. And as we talk about voting, the ballot is longer than I thought it was going to be. I guess everybody's been campaigning. Candidates have been really speaking out and letting folks know that they're running, and we know the governor's race, lieutenant governor, and all those statewide offices, and as well as the local representatives and senators that are running, the police jurors and all that. But I wasn't aware of all the amendments, and I guess I had not read Saturday's paper. And when I got to the voting machine and saw those ballots, I realized that a lot of our citizens might not be aware as well. And I refer citizens and all of us to Saturday, October 6th, Bastrop Daily Enterprise, and they have a full page showing candidates, their numbers, parish race, local races, and local tax propositions, and things that are of interest to us. And depending on where we are and where people are in the parish, the police jury has a cemetery tax. Then there are some parish propositions, a parish-wide 2.23 mils tax for drainage projects, which is very, very important. There's a police jury proposition of 0.89 mils for maintenance of public buildings. Then the LSU Ag Center has a 10-year parish-wide 0.50 mil tax for improvement, operating, and maintaining and equipping the extension office. It's the one that's been on the ballot before. And then there's the hospital service district proposition. The Ag Center proposition and the hospital service district propositions have been advertised because we've been seeing the signs on them. And I really think that it's important that our folks know about these items and go out and express their opinions on them, because they will impact the quality of life in our community. And then there are these constitutional amendments that are on the ballot. I appreciate the Bastrop Enterprise for giving both a what-if situation. They give, if you decide to vote for it, what will happen. If you decide to vote against it, what that means as well. So all of these things are important. As we talked about it, I think our police and fire departments are extremely concerned about two of these constitutional amendments, because they impact supplemental pay. I think basically what it's doing is fixing it so that the legislature won't have to come back every year and reauthorize it. Is that basically what it is? And they can't lower it? Okay. So state supplemental pay has always been an issue. Some of us can remember one year in particular, I believe, Mr. Hamlin, Mr. Lenore, the state legislature didn't reauthorize the supplemental pay. And because it was already in place, the fire and policemen really wanted that to maintain, and we were expected, and we did, I think, come in and out of local funds. Is that true, guys?
Yes, sir, we did, Mayor.
Yeah, we came in and we replaced that money that the state should have been paying that had been committed previously. But these constitutional amendments, one of them in particular, as I appreciate it, will make it constitutionally mandated, and the legislature won't have an option. They'll just build it into the budget, and it will be there. And many of you know that, all of you know here on the Board of Alderpersons, that even though the state gives the, what is it, 350 now? 425, gives the 425, we have to pick up the retirement portion of it, the Social Security portion, and the other peripherals that go along with it. City of Bastrop will be having on the November 17th ballot a renewal. It's one of our sales tax, a 1 cent sales tax renewal, and it will be on the November 17th ballot, which is the general election. Somebody's going to be in a runoff. That election is set, and we will have a renewal of that 1 cent sales tax. That's a general sales tax that's applicable to all departments, all areas, from street lights to dog catching to clerical work here. Part of it goes to salaries and police and fire, and salaries for everything else. So it's a general operation. The airport, the sewer system, Main Street, our contributions to Medco, anything that we do, part of that money will be used for that. So that's going to be important to us, and I think as a legislative and administrative body, we realize the importance of it, and we need to do our part to be sure that the citizens are aware of the negative impact that it will have on our operating capacity if it's not renewed. We had a conversation earlier with members of the Board of Alderpersons in our Finance Committee as it relates to crime, and any crime is too much crime to me. And I guess it's extremely fresh on our minds now because we've had several situations in the last couple of months. We've had 6 murders in Bastrop this year, which is not a high. Police Chief Freeman was telling me that in, what was it, 80-something? When was it? In the late 80s, we had a situation where we had 18 murders in 1 year. We've had 6 murders, and as I said, any murder is too much. And as you're aware, 2 of those situations involved dual murders. That doesn't make it any more palatable, but the incident involving our 2 police officers, that was 2 of the folks. Then there was a murder a couple weeks ago that involved 2 people. And then there were those other situations, the one guy who was killed last week and another individual before. And I'm calling upon not just our police department, because they've maxed themselves, and take this opportunity as well to compliment them on the expeditious way that they've handled these cases. They've done a fantastic job, and in clearing up, in some cases, the murders, they've cleared up some other situations that were attached to them. And our compliments and our appreciation, ladies and gentlemen, go out to them. And they've been getting excellent cooperation, as I appreciate it, from citizens, and that's important. Our police force can't solve crimes by themselves. It has to be a participatory event by all folks in the community. People see stuff, people know stuff, people hear stuff. That's in helping solve problems, crimes after they occur. But there has to be a way that we can do things to be proactive and try to help prevent items. I don't know what the answer is, but we're not going to throw up our hands and say, well, we can't do anything about it. And if we throw up our hands and say we can't do anything about it, it's time for us to clear this area and let somebody else come in here who can. We got to be creative, we got to be inventive, and we got to do whatever's necessary to protect the life and property of the folks in our community. It's not a good feeling. Several of my friends and associates are telling me, you know, I'm in fear. I'm scared. I don't go out at night. I don't open my door. I don't sit out. I don't do things I used to do. And that's terrorism. Iraq and Iran and Afghanistan and terrorist bombers, I don't think we worry about that as we're concerned about when somebody rings my door, should I open it? Or, you know, who's in the neighborhood and things of that nature. We got to do some things to create a level of comfort in our communities. And I call upon parents and neighbors, and the faith-based community, the business community, the educational community, to give us ideas, to do convenings, to do thinking in your own mind, whether it's community, neighborhood watches, or whether it's block watches, or just starting in each person's own home, starting with you and your family. Do whatever's necessary to be sure that those that you're responsible to and responsible for, that they're being where they're supposed to be, doing what they're supposed to do. We had an incident at the football game a couple of weeks ago where during and after the game, somebody just went through neighborhoods and vandalizing. And I don't mean to make this seem like it's a, you know, out of control, but as I said, any crime is too much crime. But there were people who went through breaking car windows and damaging and vandalizing and creating chaos, and that is not acceptable. That's not acceptable. And we have to take steps, whatever it is that we feel comfortable and feel it's our responsibility to do it. Police can't do it by themselves. I don't mean become vigilantes, but let somebody know what's going on when you see something suspicious. Just like you do in airports, if you see some suspicious activities, you notify somebody. And that's what we're going to have to do in our community. It's not acceptable. And we individually and collectively have to stop it. Thank you for listening. Any other announcement that anybody might have? Please, I encourage you, Ms. Robinson somebody told her to remind me, go to forums, go to opportunities where you have a chance to listen to the candidates. Because on a state level, this is one of the most unique times in the history of this state. Not since Reconstruction has the state of Louisiana been in a situation where at least 2/3 of the legislature will either be new or in new positions and have a new governor. Think about what I'm saying. The legislature of the state of Louisiana, 2/3 of them will be either new in those positions or they'll be in new positions. Charlie McDonald and Mike Wadsworth, they're running for new positions. Buddy Quinn, Sam Little, and Stan Nethery are going to be new. One of them will be new there. So it's going to be kind of chaotic. Some of those folks ain't going to know where the bathrooms are. They're not going to know where the switches are. They're not going to know the ropes. And they have a new governor as well. Even though he's been in statewide and federal politics, it's going to be worse than a new marriage. So make the choices. Listen to the folks. Don't take this thing lightly, because we will be impacted by it in one way or the other for the next 4 years. Thank you for listening to me, and let us go into our agenda. Item 4 on our agenda is to approve the minutes of the previous meeting. September 13th, regular meeting was held. You've had a chance to peruse those. What's your pleasure?
I'll make the motion, Mayor Hawkins.
Ms. Olive makes the motion to approve those minutes.
I'll second her motion.
It's jointly second, I believe, by Mr. Gordon and Mr. Lenoir. If you're in favor, say aye.
Aye.
If you're opposed, say no, and the ayes have it. Item number 5 is the Finance Committee report. Mr. Hamlin?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we adopt ordinance 07-4151 bills and claims for the month of September.
Mr. Hamlin makes the motion.
I second.
Ms. Robinson seconds his motion. Is there any discussion? If you're in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
If you're opposed, say no, and the ayes have it. Next item is Mr. Mark Vereen with Main Street. Would you come forth, please?
Good afternoon. Just going to give y'all just the brief update on what Main Street's got going on this month. This kind of kicks off the holiday season for us, which is a lot of events that we try to do downtown to bring people back downtown, bring people into Bastrop to do some shopping for the holidays. We've got several events scheduled. All of you, I think, have probably participated in the Which Way to Main Street. That's a very successful event where the merchants downtown do the trick-or-treats for the kids around town. So we will be doing that. We generally have it on Halloween Day. So that will be Wednesday from 4 to 6. And the city usually gives it out on the corner right there of Jefferson and Franklin. So if y'all are around that night, might want to get out and help out. I know some of the girls in the office usually help out giving out the candy. Sometimes it gets a little overwhelming because last year it was a really large turnout. So we're expecting a big turnout this year.
Free.
tomorrow?
No, it should be the 31st, which is, I don't know how many Wednesdays away actually. Is that 3 Wednesdays, I believe?
Let's see. Got your
31st? I don't believe it. 4 to 6.
Actual Halloween days. So.
3 more Wednesdays.
3 more. Okay, everybody's checking the calendar. Then after that, we are already working with the retailers downtown, as well as there's others that aren't exactly in the downtown area, to kick off the holiday season with the annual open house that they have. Brings in a lot of people from out of town, from Monroe, Crossett, Arkansas. We're putting a lot of effort into some advertising to get people to come to Bastrop and get a jump start on their holiday shopping. Hopefully they'll come back and even continue on. But that's a busy day for our local retailers. If you're out and about on that day, that is that's a Sunday, November the 11th. It's always a nice time. I'm sure many of y'all have been out during that event too. All the stores are open on Sunday, which is unusual for most of them. And they're all decorated and stuff for Christmas and have food and refreshments and stuff. Last year, we're also participating in the Main to Main, which it's a state program where each Main Street town has events going on the whole month of November. Last year, we had Equinox Jazz Orchestra come to the Rose. I'm sure some of y'all were there. They are incredible. It's a real treat to have them come here in Bastrop and that we get to hear their music. I would encourage y'all all to come. That is November the 3rd. I'm full of dates tonight. That'll be a really nice event at the Rose. And even before that, we're doing something a little different. We're going to have a dinner before at the old Saul Snyder building. That'll be fixed up almost like a restaurant type thing for that night only. As part of the dinner, you can do a dinner and then go to the show, because a lot of people say they wish there was dinner before a performance. So we're going to try that as part of the new Main to Main thing. There's other Main to Main events going on all the Main Street towns. So if you're out and about, you might check out some of them, because there's some really neat events going on all around Louisiana during the whole month of November. Other than events, we've been working on the signage. We got the branding and all that. We've been passing some things by the mayor for his approval on using the logo. I know it's already been in use on the website and on a couple of other things. So we're excited to see that going out. We are working on the directional signage that will point people to specific areas, the airport, the industrial park, just with arrows coming into town so they can direct them where to go, which is the whole basis of the program, is to direct people where the places are in Bastrop. So it's it's very involved to get the signage and get the placement and get it designed. So we will keep you posted on that too. I think we've identified several of the spots already that we're going to run by the mayor.
You said it, and I think this is a good time to segue in and make that announcement. Halloween is on Wednesday. We had some questions about it, but even if we had decided and took action to change it officially from the City Hall's perspective, people still would have been trick-or-treating on that day, and it would have been a dual responsibility on the part of police. So the official trick-or-treat Halloween is from, what time is that, Chief? From 5 to 8? 5 to 8. Those people who don't desire to have people come to their doors, just leave the lights off. Okay. And the police department and I think the fire department is around distributing candy and patrolling and all that, so we'll be active. Okay.
Mark,
Yes, ma'am.
are you going to have like bumper stickers with the signage on it that people could have, like I live in Bastrop or something of that order?
That was discussed as to we should have, there's different aspects of the whole branding program that can be in place, flags for sale, T-shirts, things like that. I know D&H would like to do some T-shirts and told them had to get the mayor to make sure that was okay that they started printing that type of stuff before they did that.
Like I control stuff around
Well,
here.
it's a city logo. I didn't want that getting out without you approving all that. So, and bumper stickers and stuff, just small stuff, just so that it'd be nice to see that all, because the more people see it, the more it becomes a brand, which is the whole point of the whole program, to make Bastrop, people recognize that image as being Bastrop, so when they see it, they'll think of Bastrop. So that is on the list.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
One other question. How's the project across the street from Lee's? How's it coming along?
The buildings that we have, Chuck Smith.
Right.
Yes, sir. He is working great, going along. He's gotten the front of one of them done. He's not doing the insides right now. He's doing the outsides because he's just embarrassed of the way they look. So he's got the board front that you can't see behind. That'll be coming down in the next week or so, as well as the awning that's up there, so that he can start doing the upper story of that. He's redone he's working on the downstairs of that. So the state has met as far as the grant cycles we had, and he has of course applied for one, and so have 2 others. So we're waiting to get official word from the state on who has been awarded any money. So we're hoping that one of our 3 applicants can get that, so that we can continue on with some more restorations as well.
Is that going to be residential or commercial?
He says that they're going to live in the old Swan Theater building, which they've gotten appliances in there. I mean, it's really nice. And the other, he's thinking about some rental space downtown for commercial and possibly some apartments upstairs. He really doesn't have a plan with that right now because it's just a shell. He's only doing the front, so he's not real sure right now what he's doing. Just mainly his priority is to get the front down so that it looks nice right there. And that's so important because that's the street that everybody sees when they leave Bastrop, and that'll leave a great impression.
Very good.
Mark,
Yes.
did you talk with your group about the little shopping bag I mentioned to you?
Yeah, that's with the logo on it.
Right.
That's on the list too. And we're even, one of the plans is too to try to get, when merchants print their bags, several people have printed bags, print that on one side of the bag so that it would still say the store name and logo on it, but the back side has the Bastrop logo on it. So that is on, there's several steps that could be implemented, and that's one of them too that we would like to see about. It's on,
This is the logo that's on screen right now for folks who are at home. That's the logo that you're talking about. We're using that as our logo for entering our council meeting. So
with the tagline "Hometown Louisiana."
Okay.
Mark,
Yes, ma'am.
we have a new tenant downtown, Linda's Art. She's teaching. So would you pay her a visit?
Sure.
She's in the Surratt building.
Oh, okay.
And she
I
teaches
wasn't aware.
on Monday, Tuesday evenings, and also on Saturdays.
I will definitely make a point to go there.
Thank you.
She'll have to pay for that at commercial advertising.
That was cultural enrichment, Mayor Hawkins.
Okay. Any other questions for Mark? Thank you,
Thank y'all.
sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
As a tag to that, we got paperwork in when I got in from Baton Rouge a few minutes ago. We got paperwork in from Baton Rouge for a $50,000 grant, which is going to help us with our ongoing project of removing dilapidated houses. So we're going to get that paperwork done so we can start on that project. So we, with the help, and this is not an advertisement, but with the help of Representative McDonald and Senator Barham, that was processed, and we appreciate that.
What is that for, Mayor?
That's for the housing demolition, tearing the dilapidated houses.
That's got to be a hurry-up deal, huh?
Well, no. Whether they go or stay, the money is here. It's committed, right?
Can we cheer?
Can we cheer?
Can we cheer?
No, that's political. Yeah, Ms. Robinson, we can give them a round of applause if we want to. Yeah. Okay, Ms. K. King? Oh, I thought she was. That's fine. That's fine. You was next on the list anyway.
I just want to thank you. As always, I'm so pleased to be here and give you a report. And this is the beginning of our year for Morehouse Economic Development, the beginning of our fiscal year when we evaluate what we've done and our goals for the current year. So I really want to give kind of a state of where we're at. But the first thing I'd like to do is thank the city and for all of the support that we received. I think that we worked very well together. And I appreciate the use of the municipal building last week for our annual membership meeting. We had a very good turnout. We had about 80 people there, including, I know Mayor Hawkins was there, and several of our city alder persons were present at the meeting. I think that we had a real good response, and I've had some good inquiries about our organization from that meeting. We were doing something a little different this year by having it at night. We had never done that before. But I think that we did have a successful meeting, and I'm pleased with the way it went. We had an educational program, which was different, and it kind of stressed the importance of workforce. And we can see that most of the companies that have come here this year, and we have filled all of our buildings at the Cultural Industrial Park, and I think that's great, but all of these companies that have come here were looking for workforce. So when we see what we're trying to market for Bastrop and Morehouse Parish, we have to recognize this as being one of our strong suits, and it will continue to market that. And I know this may seem a little off the track, but I'd like to talk a little bit about the proposed 5-parish economic development initiative, and then specifically in addressing workforce. When you look at what the workforce that we have, the number of people currently employed in Morehouse Parish, we have a little over 10,000 people employed here. When you group that with the statistics from a 5-parish area, that becomes 105,000 workers, representing a population base of over 200,000. So we just have to realize that when we start talking larger numbers, that we're going to be able to attract larger organizations, larger businesses, and people that are really looking for a workforce. It's when we're here in the Delta and we don't see jobs in our community, we think that there's a shortage of jobs, but really there's a shortage of workers in our nation. And so we just need to continue to work to build on that. So in looking at combining with a 5-parish initiative, people at times think that we're in competition. They think that the larger parish is going to take all of the opportunities. But what we really have to look at is that each one of our parishes are unique, and they offer a direct contribution to that product that we're building. Like Lincoln Parish has universities, 2 universities, and a renowned nanotechnology department. Ouachita Parish has university with a respected pharmaceutical department, and it's a high population center. And it's the area retailing center. But they also have more expensive land and a lot more congestion in that area, something that large businesses really aren't attracted to. Union Parish has a 15,000-acre lake that's attractive to people seeking recreation and a more laid-back rural lifestyle. And then we get to Morehouse Parish. Morehouse Parish has skilled labor, an industrial history with trained emergency response personnel, and land availability. In addition to that, we're on a primary corridor to southeast Arkansas that has huge potential to grow over the next 20 years. So when you combine all of these things into one product, then we become a very strong marketing area. And I know that I've been working with Stacy Goff, who's chaired the task force that's assembling this, and I've been working on that task force during the last couple of months to structure an organization that represents each parish fairly, and we have to take into consideration the money part of it that we're working on right now. We have to realize that many of the rural areas can't provide the financial backing like a large urban area like Ouachita Parish. So we're working to structure this so that it's fair and affordable for everyone, and we don't know how this is gonna come out, but I do say that on the task force that every parish is represented fairly. And the fact that I'm on there should attest to that, because I was, I think Greg Van Boers with International Paper and myself were serving on that task force. So I will keep the city and the citizens of Morehouse Parish, I'm glad to get this opportunity to talk about it. I'll keep you informed on how this is coming along, because I think it is very important to not only our area, but Northeast Louisiana. I know that many of you probably read the paper today, and I can't really offer any more than what was in the paper about things that are going on at International Paper. I know that within this organization that we did work very hard to get the mail put into the renewal community. But we see and we can recognize that the pulp and paper industry is declining, and that we need to just continue to move forward and work on building a diversified economy. And I think that we are being very successful at that, but it's just that sometimes the little things that we do, the small steps that we make, aren't often recognized with a lot of flag waving, and that many of these projects that I work on and the things that happen take months to ever develop into anything. So in closing, and I'm going to give you a chance for some questions if you have any, I'd like to talk a little bit about our USDA study that we're doing from Bastrop to the Ouachita Parish line. And I hope that by the end of November that we will have a map of this area in what I think is a very strategic area for Morehouse Parish, that we can identify which sites have the highest probability for development. Earlier this year, I and my board of directors and consulted with a number of people in the community. We put together a draft of a strategic plan update where we really look at what's happening in the parish and what our marketing potential is. In that plan, which you can go to our website, Morehouse Economic Development website, and you can download that plan, and it's 17 pages. For anyone who's interested in reading it, I would be glad to get input and feedback from that. But there's also some information in there about over the last 2 years, what types of companies have actually been looking for sites and what they're looking for. And I really believe that we need 100 to 200 acre site developed. Now, to put this in perspective, our existing industrial park was less than 200 acres. So we're talking about an industrial site that's the size of our existing industrial park. And this is not going to be an easy task, but I think that it's something that's very important for us to be competitive. And I hope that people in the community will just continue to support this organization and support this initiative to try to bring something a little bit more to our parish than what we've had. So I appreciate it. I appreciate everything you do. Does anyone have any questions about any of the regional? I think I went through that fast.
I'd like to say something, Kay. I attended the meeting last week, and I think you did an excellent job putting it together. Enjoyed the speakers. I was listening as you said we need to position ourselves for growth in the future. I think if we could somehow tie together how we can benefit on a contemporary basis to positioning ourselves for the future, I think we could benefit, because people tend to look at what's in it now.
Right.
So if we could kind of bridge that gap, I think.
We have people that look very short term, what's in it now, and then we have some people that are looking at 25 years away, and so we really have to develop a number of short-term, mid-term, and long-range goals, and things like spec buildings, and like a new spec building for the industrial park. I think that's something that's probably a short to mid-range goal, and as we work on this, like I said, many things take months to develop, and a lot of sweat and work goes into it. But I hope those are some of the things that we'll look at. And I know that I said this in the meeting last week, but when SMI came to Bastrop, we had, I think I'm pulling this from memory now, but we had about 14 to 16, we had 16 people in the welding program at the technical college. By the end of the year, because there was a company coming, we had 32 people in the welding program. And now we have 44 people in that welding program. They've added another teacher. And many people think of welding as something that is kind of, I think, a lower skill, but it's really not, because people that weld have to know how to read plans and do a lot of things. But it's advancing more, just like everything else, that people have to be computer literate, and those type of fields are advancing. But I do think that we're making progress with our technical school. Enrollment is up, and I think things are looking very good there. So, but you're right. I mean, we can't just look at the short-term thing. We have to make some plans for many stages in that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. We appreciate it. There's several things going on. We have prospects. Ms. King and my part of staff has been meeting with people, again, who are looking at the Ditto building. We constantly have people going through there and asking about it and making it available. And but we'll keep working on that, because economic development is a major prong in our attack on improving the quality of life. Mr. Mitch Hale has asked to be a part of our agenda, and he wants to come and talk to us. He's from Hale's Fireworks, and he wants to talk to us about the ban on fireworks. Mr. Hale, if you would come and introduce yourself to us and give us the location of your business, and you may speak to this mayor and board of alderpersons.
Okay, thank you very much for having me tonight. My name is Mitch Hale with Hale Fireworks, and my family's been in business for 52 years. We've sold fireworks in Morehouse Parish for 20, and in the city of Bastrop for about 15. And I've had the privilege of talking to some of y'all on the phone. I think I imposed a little bit. I know Miss Robinson was doing her construction the other day when I talked to her, and then I talked to a couple of you last night. But I was just
where are you located, sir?
My family owns a property at the...
No, where do you reside?
Oh, our headquarters are in Missouri, Buffalo, Missouri, at Branson. And then our headquarters here are in Little Dixie, down in West Monroe, and Gretna, Southern Imports down in Gretna. But, you know, where we started was in Missouri.
Thank you.
But as I said, we've...
Does Gretna have a firework ban?
Pardon?
Does Gretna have a fireworks ban?
No, sir.
They don't?
No.
Okay, they allow it there?
They allow them there.
Very good. Okay, you may continue.
Okay. I was just going to add that probably about 20 years ago, we were selling fireworks outside of the city, and I visited with Willie. You know, he looks the same as he did 20 years ago, but I think I'm a little older.
We're not going to believe anything that you say.
But he persuaded my company to come inside the city to try to increase tax revenues, and I think we had the same problem then that I think you're going to have now if you ban them. People are just going outside the city, buying them, bringing them back in, and firing them off. So I think we both agreed at that time that it would help the city to have them inside where you could get the tax revenues, and you wouldn't have the problem of people bringing them in, and But the other thing, I'd read the paper that came out, and I was just wanting some equal time about the safety issues. I don't think people are aware, but the fireworks are safer now than they've been ever. There's more testing that goes on. Since 9/11, I think fireworks, a lot of them are tested 4 or 5 times before they get into consumers' hands. The injuries have gone down 90% since 1970. I gave Willie some information to give you all. I don't know if you had a chance to look it over. He was pretty jammed up that day, so I don't know if you got it. But it's got statistics from the Consumer Product Safety Commission and American Federal Standard Laboratories, which governs all the fireworks testing. And to give you an idea of how safe the fireworks are compared to 20 years ago, 3 weeks ago, people like Walmart, Target, Toys R Us met with the AFSL standard laboratories that control the fireworks testing to try to get the same, duplicate the safety standards and the success we've had in the last 2 or 3 years. Now I know the attorney last meeting, he stated about, sparklers, and how hot they burn. There was a firefighter over at Shreveport I talked to today. He said a cigarette actually burns hotter than a sparkler, which I wouldn't want to get burned by either one. Our company in particular has taken sparklers that were wire, and we're using all wood sticks now. And the one particular person I have over in the Bossier City area, they took sparklers and banned any of them that have perchlorates or chlorates, which makes them burn a lot hotter and makes them more volatile. Now, as far as the ban, we've had other cities that have had the same circumstances. Crowley, Louisiana, about 3 years ago banned fireworks, and they actually allowed us to grandfather in and continue to sell on our property that we own. And Richland, Mississippi, we had kind of the same situation over there, and they made permanent zoning where we could continue to sell. So I mean, that's just some instances. Let's see what else we got to add. I know Miss Robinson stated she was concerned about some rockets, a rocket that went on a roof, I think last year. An alternative might be Bossier City, Shreveport, banned rockets with sticks. That might be an option too. However, I think they're going to go right outside the city, and buy them and bring them in and shoot them anyway. I think, a big thing that I believe is that 3 or 4 people maybe last week talked against fireworks. I think if you could give me the opportunity to sell 1 more year, I could bring you petitions of at least 2,000 to 3,000 people in the parish, maybe more, that use fireworks. They love fireworks, love to celebrate their freedoms. They, enjoy, 1 or 2 days out of the year of, shooting fireworks and, celebrating their lives and kind of not worrying about a lot of the, bad things that go on, just kind of letting loose. I know Arthur stated that, his grandkids love fireworks. Last night when I talked to him, he mentioned a solution might be to cut the sales days back. That might limit it a little bit more. So I think you've got a lot of options rather than, outlawing them in the city and maybe not even, even gaining the, any advantage at all because they're going to bring them right back in. But do any of you have any questions? I'm kind of an expert by experience.
Mr. Hale, I'm Mrs. Robinson.
Did you get your construction done?
Well, that part of it, yes. One of my concerns is that you own the property up there in front of Cox Funeral Home.
Yes, ma'am.
There's been some problems, and I'm not saying that you do it. Do you hire people from this area, or do you bring people in?
I actually hire people from this area, and I brought them with me tonight. They're actually here, and I think there were some problems. They said that we were, leaving the property, in a disarray and, trash. And I've got Tara that works for me, and they run the place, both places. And then My competition even came too, and they will attest that those properties were clean when we left.
Well, all I know is that we had a gentleman that was here the last time, and he says that some of the people that work at that place he has seen them urinating on his property. Also that you leave metal stakes, large metal stakes in the property when you tear it down. And that this year that you did do a better job, but there have been fireworks fired on the property and landed on top of the buildings there, the bottle rockets. And that you have left the pallets. Could you give me some idea about what kind of money you spend here when you come in, or about your sales? Can you tell me about what you sell in a year? Or let's see, you come in July, Christmas?
Yeah, our sales dates are from June 25th to July 5th, and then our other sales dates are December 15th through the January 1st. I didn't bring my sales records with me. I could get that to you.
You don't have anything in your head or an approximate figure about what you?
No, not exact, but I can get you the exact amounts, tomorrow.
Do you stay in a motel when you come, or do you bring a trailer? Or
No, we headquarter at Little Dixie, and then my people run it all. I mean, they stay there. I think maybe have a camper, and they stay right on the property for security.
So when we're talking about bringing in revenue into Bastrop, do you have utilities that you pay on that property if you're parking an RV there or something?
No, we just pay property tax, and we pay the permit fees. We pay, parish and city tax, on the sales. I'm not really familiar. I don't think we've got water or sewer there. I don't think.
Okay.
As far as the urinating on the property, I wouldn't agree with that at all. If that happened, I'd be very disgusted with that. As far as shooting fireworks on the property, there's state law against that. And
but that doesn't mean it doesn't happen.
Right. Well, I would.
And the other thing that I'd like to say, I'm going on record right now because there's nobody that likes fireworks any more than me. I love to go to a structured firework. I don't particularly care about popping firecrackers. I don't have any small grandchildren or anything. But when I was a child, we were supervised, and we don't have that anymore. I'm not saying that every parent does not supervise their children, but we have a problem. We have a higher incidence of police calls because they don't go along with the law about when they can stop shooting. It's usually after midnight, 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. I've been waked up, and we also have a higher incidence of fire calls. So to me, it's just not worth what we're making when you come in. Because if you're staying in a trailer, you're not staying in motels, so we're not getting that revenue. You're not, I guess you buy groceries, you're going to eat. But the cleanliness of the building, the lot, is a question. I'm not saying that you're not right, but I also I've talked to other people who have backed up the complaint that we had at the last meeting about how it's left and what happens, and there's trash blowing along on other property.
Right. I would say that in the last 2 years since I've had my operators now, it's been very clean. There's been no problems at all, to my knowledge. As far as the supervision, I noticed the attorney last week stated that all these injuries, 2,000 injuries a year, happen to kids that are 15 and under. Well, the state law of Louisiana, we can't sell to kids that are under 15. The parents got to be with them to buy the fireworks. So I would very much agree that the parental, supervision just must not be there. The other thing I'd like to add is the fireworks consumption in the last 30 years is up 100 times. And in the last 3 years, it's up 3 times.
So you're telling me in this panel that parents you cannot sell fireworks to children under what age?
Under 15 without a parent?
without a parent.
Exactly.
I think you better get somebody to come check your booth, sir.
Okay. That is the state law, though, and I mean, we would,
Well,
you know, I
there's
do
a lot of
everything I
laws
can to
on the
violate
books
those.
that are not followed.
Right, okay. Thank you. Does anybody else?
Well-
Yes,
Mr. Hamlin?
Mr. Hale, since you have talked about me and my grandkids, and Ms. Robinson has talked about me and my grandkids, yes, I did make that statement. And I never bought fireworks from you. I bought my fireworks from Fast Glass. I think that's the name of it over there. And really, that man complimented me on the conduct of my boys when I carried them in there. How obedient they were, how they weren't running around the store and everything. So I'm pretty proud of them. Now, that came up last week about the elimination. The last meeting, not last week, last council meeting. But before then, the last discussion I was in, we talked about the possibility of eliminating some of the days. And that's the last thing I got out of that meeting. And we came up last council meeting with eliminating them, period. Number two, those people that was here, and I remember specifically, they told us that they had gone to the people at the police jury, and the police jury were waiting on us to act, and they were going to do accordingly. Did anyone else hear that statement?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The police jury, and I brought this up too, the police jury did not act on it at that meeting of the night. Number two, that's the second one. Number three, if we don't sell fireworks, children bring them in and they shoot them off. What are we going to do? We're going to lock them up, or we're going to find the parent? What are we going to do? And I think that's a valid question, because if they're selling them across the line, they're going to bring them in, and they're going to shoot them. What are we going to do with the police department? We're going to lock the kids up? Or are we going to find the parent? My fourth one, I also asked about the display. Can the city of Bastrop afford to have a fireworks display? Do we have the money? Now, I think those are some things to consider. And if you recall, I was the only one that I think that kind of question. Yes, I voted under those conditions. And the police jury already out of it. That's one thing going right there. Can we afford a display? Can the city afford to pay for a firework display? Evidently we can't.
I thought you were talking to Mr. Hale.
No, I'm not talking to him.
I talked to,
Excuse
I
me
might
just
be
a
able to-
minute. Excuse me,
okay.
please. This is just information. When we talked about the display, I think I might have mentioned that in Monroe and several other cities, there are organizations that usually sponsor those displays. I'm not sure if the city of Monroe does it or not. And since that time, I've been given information that the Chamber of Commerce might be looking at sponsoring one. I have a meeting scheduled tomorrow. Tomorrow at check my calendar here to be sure. Tomorrow at 1 or 2 o'clock with people who put on displays, and they're coming to talk about, we're investigating with some groups that are interested in doing it, how much do displays cost, because we talked about that. I think I threw out a figure of $25,000. I've been told that they're done as little as $5,000 or $10,000, so there's discussion. So before a display is committed to by the city of Bastrop, you know, I know as well as you do, and definitely staff, that that's an item that will be questioned as well by the citizenry of Bastrop as to whether that's a worthy expenditure. So a display would have to be participated in, can't be totally sponsored by the city of Bastrop, or if it's even part of it. Mr. Hale, I'd like to ask you. Please.
One more, please, and
Yes,
I'll be through.
right.
The fifth one. If I remember correctly, the big concern was rockets causing fires on top of people's homes. That's just what I interpreted. That was the biggest concern. Now, and it's my understanding that rockets can be eliminated from the cell.
Yeah, Bossier City Shreveport's done that.
So they can be eliminated from the cell?
Yes.
From the cell. Okay, thank you.
And I might add on the display, $5,000 won't get you much of a display. 25 is probably minimal, I would think, depending on how much time you want to do. And the people you're going to generate with a display, you're going to have some, I mean, displays are great, but you're going to have a lot of people. I've seen as many as 100,000 people show up for a $50,000 display.
I appreciate your input on that, but that would be a discussion item. Any other questions for Mr. Hale? Mr. Hale, help me with this, because you are the authority, it appears. In the cities where, in Gretna, what are their hours of operation? What are their allowable hours of discharging?
Our hours of sales, well, and discharge.
No, discharging, not sales.
Okay. Let's see, they are, till 10 o'clock until the last 4 days, and then it goes to midnight. I'm thinking...
so they can be charged during the daylight hours and at night until 10 or midnight?
Correct. On, say, New Year's Eve, the 30th, 29th, those last 4 nights would be till midnight. Now,
Okay.
July, the 3rd and the 4th, just 2 days, it can go to midnight.
To midnight?
Correct.
Okay. How do they monitor, and this is going to Mr. Hamlin's question, how is it controlled, how is it enforced?
Gretna, sad to say, has probably got a lot more police force than y'all have got. I think they've got just 6 square miles to police in Gretna.
Compact, well, we appreciate that.
So, I mean, they control it with their police.
Okay. And how do they control it?
They give warnings, and the second time they fine.
Okay. So it's Mr. Lawrence, I think that would be rather than a criminal offense punishable by jail, it's a finable offense, right? If it's written that way.
Yes, sir. I mean, you can limit the punishment strictly to a fine.
Yeah, okay. Now, in cities, and you mentioned, so in cities where it's allowed, are you aware of very many complaints that the citizens have about fireworks?
There's some. I mean,
What are the issues? Help us with the issues. Are our issues similar to what you
Our
found?
issues are very much so. Because I think they stated last time, there's a lot of people, there's several people that don't like fireworks, but I think there's a lot more that do, that, want to enjoy their freedom.
In these cities where they discharge, and these are issues, how is it handled, the litter that results as a result of the discharge? How is it handled, the cleanup?
Oh, the cleanup? I mean, I think that's a finable offense too. They've got to clean their trash up. You're talking about individuals shooting fireworks?
Yeah, I've been a fireworks discharger from my childhood, and I buy fireworks. I have some left over from last year in my storeroom right now.
Right.
And when we discharge bottle rockets, or the balls that go up and do all kind of bursts and stuff, it leaves the paper residue, the balls, the tubes, and all the rest of that falls back to earth, the stuff that might be glowing. Who's responsible for cleaning that up?
The person shooting them.
Okay. So,
And of course, we suggest, to keep a water bucket there, to douse them, if they do come down hot. But
I think that's a standard regulation, federally advised and all. I think part of our problems were the complaints that we got from citizens is, for people who were in the neighborhood who didn't discharge, folks who did discharge, their debris. The debris that was left there was in other folks' yards, and it wasn't cleaned up, and other neighbors were having to do that as a result. So I'm asking purely for informational purposes. This is not a side thing, but just trying to figure out how are those negative parts of the situation handled.
People shooting them are responsible for cleaning them up. As far as going on the other people's property, I haven't heard of that much. Say in Gretna or Monroe or Ruston or any of these other places.
In our area, when you shoot a ball of rocket up, it doesn't always come down on your own property.
Right.
In our area, I don't know about the rest of the world, but when I would shoot my balls up, my firework balls up, they wouldn't always land back, where they were shot from. So,
Right.
And it might cause dissatisfaction with other folks' parts. So, I just didn't know if that was a big issue. But now, when areas where rockets are banned, what kind of fireworks do you sell in those areas?
You still should sell, fountain smoke balls, firecrackers, artillery shells, multi-shots,
Okay.
everything.
So
but
artillery
rockets.
shells are different from rockets.
Artillery shell is a tube that you put the balls in and the reloads. Missiles are probably the closest thing to rockets. So when they outlaw rockets, they go to missiles, which are a little more stable. I think one thing.
Help me with stability.
Pardon?
A little bit more stable. What does that mean?
As far as the, verticality, of the way they go straight up instead of, off.
Right.
One thing that since 9/11, we have had so much more scrutiny as far as the testing on our product.
I appreciate that, but where I'm going with this is I'm trying to figure out what's the difference in a rocket going up and making a blaze and making noise, and I bought a thing last year that was a 24 or 48 display thing. You light it and they go off, and then they go up and do all kinds of stuff like
500 gram, yeah.
What's the difference in that and a rocket going up?
Rocket's just a one projectile, just straight up, boom, and then you got the stick falling down is a problem.
Okay, so you don't have a stick falling down.
Correct.
So that's what they were trying to ban.
Yes.
Come on, guys. Trash? The stick is trash? Oh, okay.
Now your 500 gram, it'll go up and the whole thing, explodes, and then by the time it comes to the ground, all the embers are dead. There's no embers, or the testing shows that.
I must have brought it the wrong place, because when mine go up, there was a ball that came back down that the explosion was in or whatever. Mr. White, would you come up to the podium? Mr. Ben White, police juror.
I have one more question.
Yeah, but let me hear Mr. White first. Before we're not changing. This is just come on up to the microphone, sir.
I'm just got something to say here. You talking about these sticks and everything litter? Let's say Eddie over here's got a tree over here, shed leaves everywhere. You done got aggravated breaking leaves. You went down there and cut the trees down. You don't have no leaves, but his leaves is blowing over in your yard. That's the same thing as litter, as far as I'm concerned. That's all I got to say.
What's your point? Now come back.
Now you talking about litter and stuff.
Okay.
Say Eddie's got an oak tree over here. It sheds leaves every year. You don't have no trees in your yard. All right. The leaves are blowing over in your yard just like the litter is from the fireworks.
Okay.
So, are you going to get him for littering for the stuff blowing over in your yard because it's leaves?
Okay.
Most paper is biodegradable.
Okay.
So is the stick. Stick falls from the tree. And like I said, you need to look at stuff. This is what I'm trying to get to.
Okay. That was the basis that y'all made y'all's decision on? Was that the basis?
That's some of it.
Okay. All right.
Like I said, with kids here does not have nothing to do.
Okay. Come back to the microphone if you're still talking, please.
I said kids here have nothing to do. We have no skating rink. We have no bowling alleys. We don't have nothing here for our young kids to do. Why does our kids leave here when they get old enough to leave? Because there's nothing to do. Why do we have problems with our missing of our kids? We paid $38,000 last month to Green Oaks Detention Center just to house juvenile kids. Y'all don't have this burden. We do.
Mr. Hale?
Yes, sir.
Any more questions for Ms. Robinson?
I have one more. On the property that you own there by the old Walmart building,
Yes, ma'am.
how long has that been yours?
I think 15 years. At one time we had a trailer there, we had a problem, we had to move it.
But we also have had complaints of that being overgrown, do you have someone that you hire to go out and mow it every now and then?
Yes, ma'am, we do.
You do now?
He does both lots, and I've been down, that lot there and then one by Cox too.
I didn't know that even had any grass on it. I thought that
No,
was
he
just a
just weeds,
asphalt.
it's not much, mainly cement, but
Well, I do know that in the past, and even before I was on the city council, we've had a lot of complaints with the growth at that lot by Walmart, because it was left unattended during the year, because you don't live here, you don't know what it looks like.
correct.
So that was a problem.
And we've tried to address that, and in the last 5 years, I think we've done a good job. I was out there and picked up some paper today, actually, and it was mowed down pretty well.
Mr. Hale, help me with this. You mentioned in your letter the request to be grandpersoned in. What help me understand that?
What was the question again?
What does it mean if you're grandfathered in?
Well, say Crowley, Louisiana, when they, when they banned them in the city, they let property owners that were holding a current license continue to sell on that property, to keep the use of the property that they bought it for. Now, say Richland, Mississippi, that was an annexation procedure there, and we had structures on that property. It's on 49 South. Some of you probably drive by the property there. But they made special zoning just for us in the city. So, they continue to let us use the property for what we purchased it for. So it'd be like a non-conforming use might be something you all would be more familiar with than grandfather clause.
So basically what you're saying is if we were going to ban it, we would ban anybody else from being able to come in the city of Bastrop and sell fireworks and just let you and whoever is existing right now continue to do so?
Just property owners is what I've seen.
I'm sorry?
Other cities, I've just seen them do that with property owners.
Property, I know.
Like say, we own the properties that we're on.
Oh, so if a fireworks vendor, a person who has license to sell fireworks now, but they don't have a property in the city of Bastrop, they would be banned from selling it, but and who else owns property, just you?
I think Fast Glass, but I think he's moved out to Walmart now. I think he puts a tent at Walmart.
Okay, but so only the two of you would be allowed to sell and no other person would be able to come in and buy licenses?
Well, I've seen it both ways. Mostly I've seen it just property owners. Now, I've seen a couple towns that allowed anybody with a current license
to continue,
unless they're interrupted for a year. If they go a year and they're interrupted, they don't issue them again.
Do you have to buy state and local license?
Yes, sir.
State and local license?
Yes.
Yeah. How much state license, may I ask?
I think it's $100 now.
$100.
Right.
And our license of what, anybody know? Based on volume?
50.
Okay. Okay. And then you pay sales tax on the product sold?
Yes, parish and
okay.
City and parish.
Okay.
So my wife handles that.
And state?
Yes.
Okay.
And school and, some of them there's about, in Natchitoches there's about 7 different ones, I think.
Yeah, that's private. Any other questions for Mr. Hale? Mr. Lenore? Mr. Lenore, please.
I just have a few. I'd like to talk about liability.
Mm-hmm.
Buying a firecracker, let's say for an example, it starts a fire and it burns a building down. And I have enormous amounts of leaves. I hate breaking leaves. And sometimes I get 60 bags. It's a potential fire hazard. Someone injured.
Mm-hmm. As far as liability, we carry insurance. It's $2 million per location, and it's mainly liability. It's somebody coming on the property getting hurt or somebody using the product and getting hurt. We have about 1 to 3 lawsuits a year, but to put that in perspective, we've got, we supply 400 vendors, well, probably more than that, and we've got about 400 retail places. So, it's, 3 injuries put in perspective with the amount of, product sold. And most of that's misuse. It's, people altering the product, tying, and the sparkler thing I talked about, the perchlorates. If they'll tie those things together, and these kids are innovative, they tie those things together and wrap them in duct tape, they can make a big explosion out of them. But if you take the perchlorates out, they can't do that. So that's what we're working on right now on the sparklers. I've got some sparklers out in the pickup I could bring in and show you the difference, if anybody's interested in that. Did that answer the question?
Okay. Someone, Ms.
Yes.
Go ahead, sorry.
Thank you, Mayor Hawkins. As I recall, in our last meeting, we had some citizens here. One gave statistics, and another one related a personal experience, then another one related her experience of having fond memories of fireworks. So we were faced with, what do you do? What do? You have people here that enjoy fireworks that has been expressed here by some of the individuals. Then yet you have another group where it's a nuisance, a total nuisance.
Let me insert one thing.
Sure.
Let us not get to item 9 right now. Let's be sure that Mr. Hale, we're through asking questions of Mr. Hale, and then item 9 talks about the ordinance, and which goes, I think, the way you're going right now. Is there a question specifically for Mr. Hale right now that we need to ask him before we allow him to summarize or culminate his discussion, and then we're going to go into the ordinance itself? I don't want to cut you off, but yeah, please.
Okay. As a citizen, how do you feel about a private citizen aside from being a vendor? How do you feel about fireworks?
Of course, I'm biased. You know, I love fireworks. My kids have grown up with fireworks. They love to shoot them. And I think we may have hit on something in the last 10 minutes about shooting hours. I think that might be a big thing as far as a nuisance. Because I think after 10 o'clock, we've got a warehouse where we test a lot of our product, and it used to be, this is in Missouri, it used to be way out in the country. Well, now there's people around there, and we've been getting complaints. So I've been trying to tone it back to 10 o'clock. It seems like I shoot up until 10 o'clock, I don't have any complaints. If I shoot after 10 o'clock, I have complaints. So I think that may be a, I try to keep open-minded, even though it's my livelihood, it's what I do, and I feel like I've got the right to shoot them whenever I want to shoot them. But I try to keep an open mind and realize that there's people that these do bother. I don't know if that answers your question, but...
It does. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Ham,
Ms. Robinson, you may speak.
say again how much your liability is and what it covers?
$2 million. It's $1 million product liability, covers the product, and it's $1 million premise liability. So say if you came to my tent, tripped over the rope, fell down, you know, it would cover, you know, up to $1 million personal injury. Then if you took a rocket out and, you know, shot it and it came and hit you in the face or something, it'd be $1 million product liability.
Per incident, a collective.
Per incident.
Okay.
So if someone was shooting a bottle rocket and it landed on top of their house or my neighbor's house and we didn't know it, but during the night it caught on fire, and if the neighbor hadn't gotten the people out, they would have burned up, would your liability insurance pay for that? If they knew that they bought it from you, if you were the only family, you're saying if your grandfather did and you're the only one here?
I would say they should.
Well, that happened last year. We had a man that came and told us that he would like, this is before this last session came up to ban fireworks. We didn't act on it then, but his neighbor was shooting the bottle rocket and it landed on top of the house, and later on in the night it flared up because they didn't know it was there, and if he hadn't woke them up, the whole family would have burned up.
In my opinion, the insurance company should pay for it. I mean, whether they would, I mean, they probably would be like all insurance companies and, you know, investigate it to the fullest. But if it was proven, I would think yes, it would be their obligation to do it. And we pay, you know, deductible. We pay $2,500 deductible. But our insurance company in the past, we haven't had that situation, but we've had several where they paid, you know, for personal injury.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for Mr. Hill? But before you leave, Mr. Lawrence and Mr. Freeman, Chief Freeman, what are our hours of allowable usage? I can't remember. Okay. Okay, I'm thinking that it's 9 except for those New Year's Eve, New Year's kind of, I'm thinking that that's about right. And you said that they go to 10 in Crowley and 12 on, yeah, okay. Because I think that was a lot, in addition to the safety and the fire hazard issue, I think that was a large part in the litter. I guess those 3 issues were the major issues of concern, the late night discharging, potential fire hazard, and then the letter that goes up. Mr. Lawrence, you found it?
Yes, sir. If this version of the ordinance is accurate, it says between the hours of 8 a.m. and 9 p.m.
Okay, 9 p.m. Does it give exceptions for New Year's Eve?
No, sir, not this version of the ordinance.
Okay. Can you remember, staff, if there's any addendums to that? Okay. I can't remember any special allowances being made for New Year's Eve either. I'm not sure. Okay. Mr. Hill, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you all for all your time.
We appreciate you bringing us that information.
Okay.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on now to item number 9, which is ordinance number 074152, an ordinance to repeal section 9-26 through 9-32 Code of Ordinance, City of Bastrop, Louisiana, to henceforth prohibit the sale of at retail, discharge, and use of fireworks within the corporate limits of the City of Bastrop. Ms. Olive, you were segueing into that, so I'm going to start with you if you have any discussions on that.
Well, I think maybe all of it has been brought out in reflecting on what happened the last meeting. But also, I think we have a segment of the population that enjoys the fireworks as entertainment. I would like to know what kind of revenues come as a result of the sale of fireworks, or that maybe that's something that has to be researched. What kind of benefits financially is it to the city?
Okay. Okay, again, just to be clear on the ordinance, this ordinance would prohibit the sale at retail, prohibit the discharge and use of fireworks within the corporate limits of the City of Bastrop. And staff, one of the points that Ms. Olive, we need to bring forth before a decision is made on this, and I'm gathering at this point that we probably, I don't know if anybody's going to be ready to vote on this, we probably will be tabling this, but I know you want to hear information about, from your just question just now, is what kind of revenue does it generate now? Is that determinable? We know what a license costs, but can we get from the Sales Tax Commission what those businesses generate in sales tax? Okay. And Chief Montgomery, I'm going to need from you, from the fire chief, the number of calls that have been over. Let's do a 4-year window, 5-year window. Make it round. 5-year window. Number of calls that we've had during the fireworks discharge periods. And Chief Freeman, I need from your records for the past 5 years complaints lodged for fireworks-related situations. What, Council, Board of Alderpersons, what other information do you need? And I'm going to recommend that we table this for tonight, but whatever, Mr. Hamlin, Mr. Lenore?
Mayor Hall.
Let me go this way first.
I don't need anything, Mayor.
Mr. Lenore, can you think of anything right off?
None at the moment.
Okay. Mr. Gordon?
Possibly a number of licensed retail sales places that would be affected inside the city.
Okay, how many licensed vendors are there?
Vendors we have.
Okay.
For fireworks?
Okay. Ms. Olive, any other questions that you think you might want the staff to prepare for further discussion?
Let's look at a cost analysis for public display as we
That will be brought. That will be brought in and looking at my calendar, I'm scheduled for a meeting at 1:30 tomorrow. Mr. Lawrence, help me. How many alderpersons can be there? As long as we don't make a decision, informational meetings can be held without violating sunshine, right?
Yes, sir.
As long as those decisions are made.
Well, as long as who else will be at the meeting?
Well, my reason for asking that, in case some of the Board of Alderpersons want to be there, it was going to be a meeting with me and staff members along with the community-based people who are considering this. And my concern is if alderpersons wanted to come.
I'll give you two answers. If you had not more than 2 alderpersons there, you'd have to have a problem.
Right.
Because you don't have a quorum.
Sure.
If you have more than 3 or more, the question becomes, is there a dialogue? Are they just listening? Are they just receiving information? Or are they participating in the dialogue such that there's really a meeting going on?
So it
depends on what you do.
If they come, they can't talk. Don't y'all come.
Yeah, can we designate Miss Robinson and Miss Olive down there? Yeah. There'll be enough talking to two of them.
But they can't talk though if they come.
He said they can talk if there's only two. If it's only two, they can talk.
Okay. It's gonna be hard.
Mayor,
Okay. We got a meeting.
Mayor,
Yes, Ms. Robinson.
as of right now, we have, other than Mr. Hale's two businesses, we have 3 other places in Bastrop that sell fireworks.
Okay. All right.
One of them is only Mo Fireworks at Fast Glass is the only local person that has a
Okay.
license.
Okay. So staff, you don't have to find that because we know that that's 3. Okay, Ms. Robinson, is there any other information you want staff to present us in another discussion on this?
No, but it was my understanding we would have somebody here presenting us the program tonight, but since it's going to be tomorrow, that's fine.
Okay. All right. We're tabling item number 9. Item number 10 is resolution number 07-1221. Thank all of you for participating. Mr. White, thank you for your input as well. A resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development for improvement at the Morehouse Airport. This is a resolution giving me the authority to do what we need to do to get stuff done. Mr. Litchfield, you want to briefly come and tell us what this is all about? Can you? Do you don't want to? You do? Will you?
Sure he will. I know him well.
It's the next 5-year list of items
Okay.
items to be done at the airport. It involves completing the tree removal. It involves runway extension, hopefully. It involves lighting for the taxiway, T-hangers, and numerous things. And we can add to that, too.
Sure.
I mean, it's not a hard list. So.
Okay.
It's not hard in stone.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. Can I get a motion to that effect, if you will?
I make a motion that we give the mayor authorization that we pass resolution 07-1221.
Mr. Lenore makes that motion.
I'll second Mr. Lenore's motion.
Mr. Gordon does. If you're in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed should say no, and the ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. Litchfield. Mr. Ben White, again, is here with us. He's represents the police jury, and I'm not sure if he's representing the police jury tonight or himself. Thank you for coming, sir.
We got a problem around the high school. The city, the people in the home games, they park all over the place. I know it's a problem. You can't get ambulances down the road. And the city created another problem by coming up putting T-posts around the Arthur or MacArthur Street and putting flagging down it. Well, when you meet a school bus or a dually truck and pulling a trailer yourself, you can't get over because of the T-post. I'm talking about literally there's not enough room on the road to one of you to move over and let the other one go by. Now, I think the chief here is the one that's come up with a suggestion with the T-post. My deal is they got no parking all up down the road. Sign. Make it a tollway zone. And let the owner of the vehicle pay the expense and get in their pocketbook and let them understand what a no parking zone is. And it's a problem. Now, on Country Club Road, I don't know who the individual is, they put T-posts to keep people parking in the ditch. Well, when you meet a school bus coming out of the high school, you just about run over them. And that's against the ordinance already. You know, putting a fence up, you might call it what you want to, that's a fence on city right away. So there's a problem up there, and I think y'all need to sit down and get your heads together and figure out either make it a one-way.
Okay, so what is your request?
Making a tollway zone is my solution to get away from the T-post, because if two trucks, big trucks coming down MacArthur or Arthur, what is that, boo?
MacArthur Drive.
MacArthur. You start coming down there and say two dualies truck or somebody pulling a trailer. I go that way to get my little girl in the afternoons when I get off work. Sometimes I have a trailer because high school's letting off, high school. And I cut through the back way and go up Gladney and go over the roads. If you meet another truck or a school bus right through there, you can't get over because of the T-post. The city's got to send, often got to send a crew out there Friday sometime to put up the T-post. Then you got to send a crew back out there Monday, take them down. Excuse me. Then the next, say we got back-to-back ball games, you got to send another crew back out there the next Friday, then next Monday pull them back up. So you keep spending money, that's people off you have doing something else. And like I said, either make it a tollway zone or come up another way, one-way street or something like that during ball games. And another deal is, I believe, and the chief ain't gonna like this one, if the police department would park the cars in the parking lot like they do at the fair, you can get more cars parked in the parking lot. But that's why I said you ain't gonna like this.
Okay, excuse me. Go ahead, Mr. White.
And but you know, there's a problem. There's a solution. But like he says, he's short. He's strapped. He ain't got. I think he's down by 10 police officers now. But you know, there's ways around it, and I think we need to think of a way to fix the problem, still creating another problem with the T-post.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir, very much. Chief Freeman, you have any comments that you'd like to come up and make? Just explain the situation and why we're doing what we're doing, if you will, so everybody can have an understanding. MacArthur Drive is a street that goes down by the gymnasium, old gym, and goes around in front of the field house and then out to Country Club.
We looked at turning it into a one-way, but you can't turn it into a one-way unless you man it with officers. Every available officer I've got off duty is at the football game. I have nobody for parking anywhere. I can't use the ones on patrol because I only have 4 working patrol during the game.
But parking should be Bastrop High situation anyway, shouldn't it?
Well, it spills over into the whole neighborhood.
I see.
But just like Mr. White said earlier, with no skating ring and none of this other stuff, this is a community thing. And we could go over and ban parking all the way around it, and you could kind of cut down on the attendance and the kids coming to the games and everything else. So we do away with no parking assigned enforcement around the high school during that period of time because it is a parish function. One way will not work. The problem we were having in that area of MacArthur is coming around the 2 curves on the opposite ends. You had both sides of the road. They were parking on both sides of the road. You had basically one lane to get through.
That's during the games. During the
game.
Right.
And, well, an hour or so before
leading up to it, okay.
And you get 2 cars coming in opposing ways. They meet in the middle, and it's a Mexican standoff. You got cars piling up behind them, and it just clogged the whole thing down. So I called Arthur. I told him to put up barricade tape down both sides of the roads up to Country Club, and that alleviates that problem.
Mayor, could I?
Ms. Robinson?
The other problem that it created was if we had to have an ambulance or a fire truck, there'd be no way it
Help me
would
when you
get
say
there.
that what created?
That by not having the T markers there on that street.
That's where the ambulance is stationed, in that
I understand.
first curve by the entrance back there. He's got to come out that way.
So you're saying that it's necessary?
Well, the street's not wide enough for 2 sides to be parked, cars to be parked on both sides, and even if the ambulance was there, it might have a problem getting through because sometimes people walking, they can't walk but like 2 or 3 apart. And it alleviated a little of it when the country club began to charge for people to park in their parking lot, and that helped some.
So you think this is necessary?
To have the T markers?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir, I do. It has alleviated a lot of problems.
I just wanted to be clear on your position.
And like I say, the ones I've seen over there, they're at least 2 feet off the road on both sides. So you got the legal length of the roadway plus another 4 foot.
Okay, describe for me and others who can't visualize this. You got posts that are in the ground, or what are they in?
Yeah, drove in the ground, driving in the ground about this far.
Okay.
They call them T-marks, so at the bottom there's a dam on them.
Okay, these are the posts that we use for signage, signposts, kind of?
Actually, a fence post.
Fence posts, and they're driven down, and you got tape running between the posts going.
Tape is
Okay.
from one end to the other.
Now, where does the tape start? Where the taping start?
You come from Country Club at the intersection of MacArthur. Come all the way down MacArthur, make the curve, go to the next curve, back around to the back of the football facility, and it stops there in that curve.
Okay. Howland and MacArthur?
Not Howland. It doesn't go up that far, just to the field house.
Field house going back toward the country club. Past Ed White's house back down that way.
Right.
Going down the country club, then it goes all the way out to country
Club.
I see. Stop there.
Right.
So both sides are taped off.
Right.
In front of Ed White's house, there's a big ditch in it.
Right.
A big country.
But they still park there.
They try to park on that edge?
Oh, they do park.
they
So that
do.
means they park half in the street then?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Okay. So it's not yeah.
And they park on both sides of Gladney,
Well, you have,
yes,
you
Gladney.
have both
over
sides
there.
of the street parked on anywhere around
Up
there.
in front of your house on Gladney?
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah.
All up in there?
Large Lane, you name it.
Okay. All back over West.
Parkhurst, just all over.
Do they let them park on the Magnet School campus?
And they do.
Okay. And down by Harper's? Down that way?
They'll park wherever
Wherever there's
All the way down
spots.
Howland? Okay.
You know, they have a lot of problem, and it comes to being courteous.
Uh-huh.
A lot of folks will pull into people's
Driveway
driveways
without permission?
and just pull in there and park the car and walk off and leave it.
The
And
towing bid-
there's nothing we can do about that.
That's
The
private.
homeowner has to have that
Yeah,
towed off.
right. I'm surprised that the tow people aren't patrolling during that time like they do in New Orleans.
Right.
Just ride. Okay.
I mean, you know, maybe a solution would be to shorten the pole, but I see no reason you could not go down that
Now,
road.
Mr. White's position was that two vehicles, the pole and the pole gets in the way of vehicles passing down the street. That's what I'm trying to get his position.
Two normal vehicles will have no problem going down that road.
No, but if you pull in the
If you pull in the trailer and another car coming, there's no reason for that trailer to be much wider than a vehicle. And you still have 2 feet to get off the road.
So, and depending on, and during that time, you have probably more traditional vehicles than trailers and dualies, I
That's
would
all.
imagine.
I've never seen a trailer or bus over there during that
Okay.
time.
Members of the Board of Alderpersons, any comments on this?
You don't want my comment, Mayor?
Yes, sir, we do. It's important.
We got a... Go ahead.
Mr. Hamlin?
First of all, I just said it was good. Because originally, when we first started passing taxes for this school, there was a proposal to put it out there in the front of where Walmart is now. But they wanted to keep it in the neighborhood, and they kept it there. Number two, if Mr. White know those things are there, that one evening, 4 times a year, why can't you go another way? No, you don't have to answer me. I'm just making a statement.
Okay. Mr. Lenore, any comments?
I just want to say that we look like we have a parking problem, which could be possibly looked at by a study group, see what else that could be done possibly. I don't know. We're there now, and look like we stuck.
Okay.
That may be something worth looking at.
Mr. Gordon?
I feel like Chief Freeman's doing the right thing. I've been to ball games when they had the posts and when they didn't have the posts, and it's much easier having the posts and the barricades, keeping the traffic minimized in there. I feel like they're doing the right thing.
Okay.
And just for those 4 to 6 home games that we have, and for the time frame over a 2-day period that they're up, whatever time frame they're up. I think he's done a good job in controlling the traffic around there as well as he has.
Okay. Ms. Olive?
Well, we look at our team and we're behind our team and excited about it, and I think when we start putting restrictions, I was listening as Alan was saying something, that kind of puts a damper on things a little bit. So I can respect that safety is an issue, but at the same time, we need to take other factors in consideration as well as the safety.
Okay. Ms. Robinson?
I think I've said enough.
Okay. All right. Mr. Freeman, we trust your judgment. You're responsible for law enforcement, traffic control in the city of Bastrop. The city council of the city of Bastrop trusts your judgment, support your decision. Thank you very much. Mr. White, thank you for expressing your opinion as well. Mr. Freeman, I'm sorry, do you have a liquor license tonight? No liquor license. Is there any other business to be brought before this, before I go to citizen comments, any other business? This is an expansion, but it's an addition to the announcements. Many of you are looking at this audience, most of you don't remember, but a local individual from Bastrop, his name is Bob Love, graduated from the old Morehouse High School back in the early 60s and went to Southern University and was drafted in professional basketball and played with the Chicago Bulls and I think another other team. And until Michael Jordan came along, Bob Love had the scoring record for the Chicago Bulls. He's since retired and he's had several events in his life. But there's a documentary that is being prepared on his life and a life story being done. And we're fortunate in that the producers of that documentary will be debuting that Bob Love story, and Bob Love will be here. It will be at the Bastrop High School auditorium on October 24th at 6 p.m. And this is one of the ways that we're announcing that. I think the Southern University alumni is participating with it, along with some other civic and social clubs that might be helping sponsor that event. Well, very motivational story. Many people in the community remember him in many different ways. But for those folks who might be interested in seeing a piece of history and a person who's overcome many obstacles, that will be no admission charge. It's open and hopefully to serve as a motivator and as well to show what people from Bastrop have done. Any other, do we need to expand the agenda for anything? Is there a citizen who'd like to have a comment to this Mayor and Board of Alderpersons? Mr. Robinson, would you come in, even though we know who you are, but for the record, just give, but if you'll give us your name and address and you may speak.
I'm Glenn Robinson, 1617 Gladney Drive here in Bastrop. And all I wanted to say, Mr. Mayor, I commend you, your council, your department heads, your legal department for addressing problems as they come up and resolving them with the utmost professionalism that you can do. The only problem I've got is how can anybody from the police bureau, as big a mess as that is, question anybody at this table or here. I think they're doing an excellent job. Alan, all you guys are doing a super job. You're to be commended, and it upsets me that the police jury questions anything you guys do.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. We appreciate that. We don't hear many comments, positive comments, do we, over here? But we appreciate it.
I promise I didn't have anything to do with that.
I was about to say something. I thought about we were live, so I wouldn't say anything about that, Ms. Robinson. But I was wondering, was they saying that because of you?
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Well, no, we're not going to do that. Oh, I'm sorry. Citizens would like to comment. If you'd like to comment to the mayor, would you come over to the?
We run the tent.
Yeah. Oh, come on, please. Come on around. If you come and introduce yourselves and identify your connection to the city of Bastrop and the issues that you're going to talk about.
My name is Tara Nance, and this is my boyfriend Barry Birch, and I was with Mitch Hale and Hell's Fireworks. He works at Bastrop Superfoods. We live in Sterlington. I've worked for Mitch for 9 years now. I worked out of Farmville for 8 years with Karen Abels. And they have outlawed some fireworks because of some things that's happened, that kids done stupid things.
They who?
They outlawed some fireworks, Farmerville.
Farmerville, okay, thank you.
Because of kids doing stupid things, but we can still sell in Farmerville. They asked me last year to go on my own. I know Miss Robertson, I guess is that your name? Miss Robertson? Yes. That the guys before us, I know there was a lot of complaints that had that tent, because we had several people come in and tell us that that's the cleanest they've ever seen that place. They did a lot of, I don't know exactly what they did. They did a lot of things that was wrong, because we had, people come in and griping about it. I do know that place was clean as it could get last year. We had the spot up here at the old Walmart. Like I said, we did everything to keep it clean. I know you were saying the grass. If we have to mow it, we'll mow it. I don't care. I mean, I enjoy doing it. Selling underage. I know you said that some kids we were selling underage. We had signs. We had signs up. If you were under 15, you couldn't come in without an adult. I know I got in trouble the 4th of July because the fire marshal was watching us, and their mother was sitting in the vehicle because she had a broke leg. And I sold to them and seen the mom sitting there, and I got a warning saying that it's $300 fine for every kid that I sell to. So we did make it a point. If you were under 15, don't even come in my tent without an adult. So
the complaint was about at the spot up by Cox Funeral Home. They did say that this year it was left in a better condition.
Yeah. He has a few things to say.
Before you leave, and this is to both of you,
Sure.
your facility is in front of Cox and at the old Walmart,
Yes,
the lot
Correct.
in front of the Chinese place.
Correct.
There's another company that has a place over at Rite Aid.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And then there's another company at Fast Glass, as I appreciate it.
Actually, Fast Glass has moved
Yes.
this year out towards Walmart, the new Walmart. So that was one thing that I want to address on that. Right
Please.
There's another company from
Yes, ma'am.
Start.
They're called from Start.
Start.
That's
okay.
them.
Okay.
First of all, the one thing I wanted to ask Ms. Robinson, can you define local to me? As far as stating Fast Glass is the only local person here.
Well, as far as having a business that's here.
Okay.
Yeah. That
As far as,
stays here.
okay, as far as having a business that is here, as far as the local people being there. Okay, you have 4 of us here that are running tents in this town. One, I manage a grocery store here in Bastrop. I'm one of the managers of that store. So as far as being local, I am locally owned in this in this town. I do spend my revenue in this town. As far as you asked Mr. Hill if they spend any money as far as renting hotel rooms or anything of that.
Yes.
Well, we rent a hotel room for the fact that there is not a sewer service out there. You do not have any kind of running water or anything. We do have a porta-john. We have one. They have one. I take for granted that the Fast Glass, which is Mojo now or something like that.
I don't know what it is.
And the local people, I'm taking for granted they also have a porta-john service. So yes, we do. We can't, once we put a trailer in there, we can't leave that tent. We have to stay with that tent for security purposes. So yes, we do. We go in, we buy a hotel room. We rent a hotel room. That way we can go in, take a shower, get cleaned up. For the fact that I do have to work in this town. I have to be at work the next morning, so I have to go in there and make sure that I can go to work. The lights that have been cleaned, we got 2006. We took over as far as during the Christmas, New Year's area. Within 1 day's period after our selling period is up, our lots are completely clean. We have no trash left on the lots. The only thing that we have, and there's something that we might can work a little bit better on that, as far as having a porta-john system, have them, the people that do that, have them come in and pick up our
That was
porta-john.
the other thing. It was like 4 or 5 days.
Well, I noticed that also, the fact that it did linger on, the fact that the porta-john was out there for several days, and so I can understand that. You asked earlier as far as on the liability. That was something that, once a rocket goes off, you can't really say, somebody comes into our tent, buys a rocket, somebody comes into their tent, buys a rocket, or anybody else's tent. As far as that, they could go as far as Crossett, Arkansas, because there are some fireworks in Crossett that are illegal here in Louisiana that we cannot sell, but they can get it just across, the Arkansas line, bring it back in. As far as having a fire on a roof, there's really not a whole bunch that you can say, okay, yes, this was my rocket after it has been disintegrated. All you have left is just barely a little bit of paper material and a stick. So that's kind of hard there on trying to do something like that, as far as to justify, doing a lawsuit, as far as to say, yeah, this came exactly from this tent. Other than that, I really don't have anything to say as far as, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you letting me come and talk to you. If there's anything that I can do to help and work with y'all, feel free. Miss Betty, she knows where I'm at. Like I said, kind of hard to miss me where I'm at. Y'all can come see me at any time. I'll be glad to talk to any one of you. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Mr. Lenoir has a
Sure.
question.
Comment, that's what I asked about the liability. Firecracker is a firecracker.
Yes, sir.
And if you got a good lawyer, you got to prove for that fire.
You got a point on that.
And nobody has any liability. Really what's going to happen, nobody will wind up paying for it. Basically, if there is a suit, if he's a good lawyer, he's going to say, hey, everybody sell firecrackers, so, you know.
Well, I mean,
people
it
get
goes-
injured. There was a fire last year. There's garage just below my house. On top of the garage, you all reported to the fire.
We've all been stupid, and we've all done, I mean, the kids with fireworks, we're going to play, like, I mean, we had artillery shell wars all the time, you know, we shoot one another. Everybody's going to do it. I mean, so once it leaves our tent, we can't be responsible for it.
I know that.
You know, I mean,
That's
people are
why I
going to be
asked.
crazy, and they're going to be kids.
Nobody really like it.
Yeah.
Okay. You live in Sterlington?
Yes, sir.
What's the fireworks regulation in Washita Parish, Sterlington?
I haven't checked into it, so I really can't tell you, Mayor. I'm sorry, I have no information on that part.
Okay. But
We don't have fireworks in Sterlington.
You don't?
We don't have any tents
As
there.
far as I know of, there is one tent in Sterlington. During that point in time, we're not at home anyway. We're up here selling fireworks, so I really can't tell you what their times are selling. I can check into it and find out for you and let you know that.
But fireworks are allowed to be sold in Sterlington?
We do have one that is sold. We do. There is a shopping center, like a kind of like a strip mall or a convenience store. There is one tent that I do know that is set up in there.
Now, Monroe doesn't allow fireworks.
Yes.
Monroe allows fireworks? The city of Monroe does?
When is that
As
starting?
far as in the city itself,
Yes,
as far as selling or as far as
Selling and or discharging, yeah.
outside the city limits. Sir.
And my question was the city of Monroe.
Outside the city, West Monroe and Monroe, you can't sell in the town. You gotta be outside the city limits.
Can they discharge in the city of Monroe?
As far as I know of, yes.
My nephews used to want to come up here and discharge fireworks because they said they couldn't shoot them in Monroe, so I didn't know. Now, do you own a facility out 165 South down there? There's a warehouse down 165 at the intersection of Winsboro Road on the left side that sells fireworks. Is that yours?
That's Ferris Shaw, we don't own Dixie.
I'm sorry?
We don't own Dixie.
So that's not you? That's not you?
us.
Okay.
No, sir.
Okay. And I guess that side is outside the city limits of Monroe probably, isn't it?
That'll be right there at the intersection of Winsboro Road and
Yeah.
165. That's considered as outside the city
Yeah,
limits.
it's across the street from that big
Right.
new fire department complex, police complex over there. Okay, all right. Any other questions for this couple? Thank you for bringing that information to us.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other citizens like to have a comment?
You have a hand behind you.
Please, I can't see. Come on up. Just come on up and come around. Thank you. If you'll identify yourself and give us your address or tell us who you are.
Yes, sir. My name is Brenda Tarver. I'm from Bastrop, Louisiana. And my son owns the fireworks tent that sits at the Rite Aid
Okay.
on Washington, 727 North Washington. And as far as the trash issue, we're very good about keeping everything picked up and clean at that location because we have to, because we're sitting in the parking lot of a store. And, you know, we've never had any complaints from the managers at the store. And y'all asked the question about monies that's spent. We don't stay in our tent, but we eat all our meals in Bastrop. We buy all our ice in Bastrop. When we're up here working, I buy my gas in Bastrop. So we do try to, if we need anything for our tents, as far as index cards, as far as tape, as far as anything like that, I try to buy all my supplies that I need in Bastrop. Because I really appreciate the fact that we can come to Bastrop and sell. Bastrop's a very nice town. I've been here since 2003, and I have learned the tent for my son. No problems. All the people are very nice. I just really like Bastrop a lot, and I just hate the fact that it may be possible that we're not going to be able to be here anymore.
other group mentioned security. How do you guys handle security? You know,
We have a night watchman
You
that
have a
comes
watchman,
and
okay.
stays just when we go home at night, because we only live in Stark, it's not that far away.
You have sell fireworks in Start?
No, sir.
Why not?
Because Stark's such a little town, it wouldn't be profitable to try to sell there.
Really? Do people shoot fireworks?
In Stark?
Mhm.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Ms. Robinson?
I just wanted to say that I did talk to the manager at Rite Aid,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
she said exactly what you did, that they had never had a problem with anything, trash or anything.
And I would also like to ask the board, if any way possible, if you decide that you will let fireworks stay in the city of Bastrop, I would ask that y'all please let us stay, because like I said, the experience that we've had in Bastrop has been a good experience. The policemen have always, if we've ever needed anything, they've always been really right there when we needed them. The people in Bastrop are very nice, and I just really enjoyed having this tent in Bastrop. I've been in the fireworks business for probably 15 years, and as far as having problems or anything, Bastrop is one of the nicest cities that I've had a chance to work in.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Just to refocus the reason for this whole fireworks discussion, I think that were 3, maybe 4 basic issues. The reason that we're at this point, I think one of the first ones, and we had many complaints before over the years about the noise and shooting them without regard to the legal hours, discharging fireworks late at night. That was one of the issues. The second one was the safety, the potential fire hazards, the possibility of fires, and even though it was not in the city limits, the fire that happened at the mobile unit out there on Speaker Road, because of leaves and because they were falling in areas where there were ignitables there. And the third one, as I appreciate it, is litter. The third one is litter that's created because folks discharge fireworks. And the fourth one is naturally the public safety, human safety, and we know that we can't regulate all kinds of stuff to make people be precautious. Even though the cleanliness of the facilities and all that were important, but the reason that we started talking about this was because of those quality of life issues. So as we go into this deliberation further, after getting the information that's being requested by you, keep that in mind. It is important. We can enforce laws about the grass not being cut, about them leaving litter out there, and things of that nature. We can control that piece. But the discussions that led to this point were based on the quality of life issues. I just need to refocus back on why we're talking about what we're talking about. I'll share with you the results of the meeting that I'll be having tomorrow, and Mr. Lawrence made it clear that it's probably going to be preferable that if any of all the persons come, no more than 2 people come, and we'll deal with that. With that, is there a motion for adjournment?
I make a motion.
Jointly made. Totally second?
Totally.
Second.
All right. We're done. Thank you very much. Kill the sound over there. Are we off? Are we off? Okay.
Thank you all for
Thank you.
I got to move it to 8 o'clock.
The way we always